Thank you, sir.
You
My name
betcha.
is Richard T. I am an alcoholic. That's why I'm here. Currently, through the grace of God, the 12-step program of Alcoholics Anonymous, I'm celebrating 628 days of sobriety, no drink, no matter what. I do have a sponsor who is a local sponsor here in the Atlanta area. I met through doing service on a Zoom platform. I added him to my sobriety circle. He was already in my sobriety circle. We were working out some things on Zoom, and he popped his hand up one day during a meeting. I was between sponsors, and I already knew the guy, and I called him, and we started reading the big book together. Appreciate being involved with this platform tonight. Love the fact that you started with the forwards to the editions of the big book. And I'm going to talk about my experience, strength, and hope, and steps 1, 2, and 3, and where kind of what brought me in here and my experience with these steps. And I love the fact too that you mentioned the contempt prior to investigation. My home group, basically plants that seed in everybody that walks in the door. Is it a God program? Do you have to be a Christian? Do you have to be a Caucasian? Can you be an agnostic? All these other things that people get hung up on. What I know is when I came into Alcoholics Anonymous, my life was unmanageable, and the least of my worries was my concept of God. I had a big problem. It was called Richard, and it was called What Can Richard Get Away With? And alcohol was pretty much, 100% part of everything. It was my mistress. It was controlling my bank finances. It was controlling the way I performed at work, the way I was a husband, the way I was a father, a brother, an uncle, etc. I'm powerless over alcohol. I'm powerless over the first drink. That mental obsession. First, the allergy. The thought that one drink, that I can have one drink. I've been through the 12 steps with my sponsor. Went through those last year. And one of the things I learned through that in the first step is the fact that, you know, I don't take the bait of thinking that, alcohol is okay for me. It's not. I take responsibility for my actions. I have freckles. I don't, blame my great aunt Gertrude that she had freckles and I have fair skin and I have to wear sunscreen, or I get sunburned. I'm an alcoholic. That's on me. My story's changed a little bit as I've worked through the steps and I've matured in my sobriety, and also as I've matured in my spiritual walk. But with that physical allergy, I can't drink. So I mean, to me, I don't take the bait. I had to change, my playgrounds and my friends. Even back when I was active in my alcoholism, my drinking friends thought I drank a lot, and it had disastrous, consequences. And I'm not going to get into drunk law because you heard one, you've heard them all. But for me, it was several medical type situations I was in, and my rock bottom was, of the rock bottom variety that they talk about in the 12 and 12, where I wasn't necessarily in a hospital bed, but it's where Bill Wilson, when he wrote the 12 and 12, based on, publishing the big book and people writing in letters, they were finding people that had jobs, had cars, had careers and things that were still suffering from alcoholism. And that's the way I was. Some people on the outside call it high functioning. I call it lying to myself and slowly uh, causing my body to deteriorate on the inside. And again, back to that getting away with anything. I work from home. I got to the point where their day drinking was involved and other things. And it just became, and it wasn't always out of anger or fear or anything else. Sometimes it was just out of boredom. And, if it was raining outside, it was time for a drink. If it wasn't raining outside, it was time for a drink. The transformation of me on the step one in terms of getting work with the sponsor started first with the serenity prayer and then reading the promises. And this is coming from somebody who, if I wasn't sleeping, I was drinking, and I was trying to hold on, white knuckling 20 minutes at a time. And I'd call my sponsor every 20 minutes and check in. And I really grasped onto that one day at a time concept early on, and never thinking that I could go, how am I going to sleep without drinking? How am I going to, And what I found from that was it is possible one day at a time. And even if I got angry or something else and I didn't have any tools yet in the program to do anything with, one of that, thank you. One of those things was, in the step one was my sponsor telling me, don't drink about it today. Just don't drink about it today. And that got me through the day. So now, now that I've worked the steps and I have other things, going on regarding, tools in the toolbox to get away from that mental obsession. Want to talk about, step two, the higher power greater than myself. To me, it's not a doorknob. It's something. It's something that can get Richard out of Richard. Is it the ocean? Is it the trees? Is it the birds in the air? The big book talks about that, we have to have a spiritual, the solution of AA is a spiritual solution based on a spiritual awakening, in that higher power, a belief in that higher power that we can cling to. And then, and at that point, I mean, is it God? Is it not God? It's step two, to me. And it's just realizing that I need help. Those, very, important words for someone like me. I need help, that admission to needing help and being willing to go to any lengths. And then moving on and on, step two is the step where, that's the hope, hoping in that higher power. And that's to come to believe in a power greater than myself that, could restore me to sanity. Unsuspected inner resource, Alcoholics Anonymous, page 567 says, with few exceptions, our members find that they have tapped an unsuspected inner resource, which they find presently identify with their own conception of a power greater than themselves. Check. That's what I needed. Now on to step three, faith. Complete confidence, belief, and trust. That's what faith means. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God. Over to the care of God. I mean, I keep it simple. Over to the care of God. What is that? You see someone walk across a tightrope pushing a wheelbarrow. They're successful at doing it. They come over. They ask you to get in the wheelbarrow. That's where faith comes in. And I do believe, my higher power is God. I don't make, apologies for that. Some people get a little sensitive around that, but, I have conscious contact with my higher power. I pray and meditate. I pause and reflect. I start each day. I'm a guy that said I wouldn't meditate. I was one of those, I'm not going to meditate. My sponsor is like, yeah, you will. Yes, you will. And sometimes it's music, sometimes it's walking around. It can be walking the dog. And meditation takes a different form for different people. I mean, sometimes I listen to some angry music and I just get out of my head for a little bit. Bill Wilson says, whatever you do, please don't let someone else's religious belief prevent you from finding the solution that's available to you through Alcoholics Anonymous. He wrote that in the pamphlet that's that talks about the God word in AA, and it's written specifically for agnostics and atheists. One of my best friends in the program is an agnostic. We read We Agnostics together. We're both sober. So my experience based on this so far is, on the 10th step, I know I was talking about 1, 2, and 3, but, asking God to direct my thinking, doing that, since I've gone through the steps, being able to make those quick, arrest those, kind of character defects that pop up during the day and don't make those into resentments. You're talking to a person that woke up in the morning. The reason I was day drinking is I was so angry. I was so angry at life and everything else. What I came to find out that a lot of the things that was happening to me, thank you, was self-inflicted. Once I started taking responsibility for things and realizing that the world wasn't all about Richard and it wasn't about me, myself, and I, things got much better. I'm in service on a big platform that's 24-hour international platform. I'm on service on another platform that meets for 3 times a week, and I share the message of hope, for the newcomers and for those that, that care to come into these rooms. And I also go to home groups as well. I'd like to thank you guys for the opportunity to come speak with you tonight. And with that, I'll hand it back over to Eric. Thank you for allowing me to share.
Thank you so much, Eric.
Welcome.
Good evening, family. My name is Sweet Tea, Terry, and I'm definitely an alcoholic. First of all, Maureen, the Wear the Crown girl, congratulations. Wear the crown. That's pretty cool. I like that. I like that. Keeps you on your toes. My name is Terry. I'm definitely an alcoholic. I'm sober by the grace of God and the fellowship of this amazing, magical program that we call Alcoholics Anonymous. It's a Sunday evening. I'm off tomorrow. Today is MLK Day. Happy MLK Day. Let's talk about freedom. He was an advocate for freedom, not our kind of freedom, our freedom from body to self. You know, for someone who was so broken, he's shown me so much mercy. If you're here and you're new, welcome to Alcoholics Anonymous. This is the best lost and found ever. This is where you find yourself. This is where you forgive yourself. This is where you figure stuff out. This is where you will not regret the past, but you're not going to shut the door on it. I love Alcoholics Anonymous. I love what God has given me. I love what he's taken away. I love what he's left. You know, I heard something today. I heard a lower power. We always talk about a higher power. But I heard someone share, an old timer, about that lower power that you got to watch out for. See, I protect my sobriety at all costs. And that lower power tries to wiggle itself in, you know, those resentments, you know, that jealousy, you know, that stuff that has you put your guard down. I'm an alcoholic 24/7. You know, every morning I wake up, I thank God for waking me up, putting me on his list. I take off my victim suit. I put my guard suit on and I go out and I ask God, what should you have me do? Your will, not mine. Let's go get it. Because I wasn't doing that. Someone talked about sleeping. I wasn't sleeping. I was passing out. I couldn't turn it off. I didn't drink as a teenager. It doesn't run in my family. I didn't drink as a child. I came into the rooms at 53 years old. I come from a small city, Queens, New York. I'm in Maryland. I went to school here in Maryland. And I dipped and dabbed, but I didn't get that thing like Ralph White says. You know, I didn't get that thing. You know, it didn't hit me yet. It didn't grab me. I wasn't alcohol's biatch because I became alcohol's biatch, you know. I have 4 children. I have this man that I took hostage 37 years ago. I'm the oldest of 3 girls. And I had to be on point for everything. My dad, a captain, retired captain in the Army. My mom, a school teacher. I grew up in Queens. We couldn't ride the subway. I did dance. I did Girl Scouts. I played the viola. I played pretty damn good. Not the way these violinists are playing right now. You know, if I would have known I could make money like that, sounding absolutely gorgeous, I would have stuck with that maybe. But it wasn't God's plan. My dad had us in everything so we could stay on that straight and narrow. So alcohol wasn't one of my, it wasn't my thing. I loved to dance. I just loved doing things. But when I got to college, when I graduated from college, when I had my last child, something happened. So I got married in Harlem, New York. We had 2 children born in New York. We moved down here back to Maryland, course, a lot cheaper. Had 2 more children. My youngest was born in 2000. Something happened. You know, I don't know what it was, but I can always sell. I probably sold every car that all of y'all are driving because I got this gift of gab that God has given me. So I started working at this bank. I wasn't a teller. I didn't work downstairs. I worked for Bank of America, a bunch of men. It was like Wall Street. We did balance transfers. Your account, your credit had to be top notch. You had to have accounts over 100,000 or more. It was like selling stock. And I used to go to work every day and I used to say, I'm gonna kick their ass today. Watch me. That was my goal. I had to be number one. And the guys couldn't stand it. They were like, come on, girl, you want to go out for a drink? We going out for drinks. I'm like, I got a family at home. I got kids at home. I got homework. But then this thought came in my mind. While they going out for drinks, I can go and get something and take it home. So I would get bottles of wine. And it was all good. It was all good. We would go out to restaurants. My husband would take me out to restaurants. I always carried nice big bags. If I ordered a drink and I like the glass, I'm ordering another one and I got 2. So I'm taking the glass home with me. So I knew how. I knew how to, number one, mix drinks, make drinks, knew what kind of drink, what kind of food. They have these restaurants called pairing, where you pair the wine with the meat and you pair the wine with the dessert. I don't know who drinks wine with dessert, but that's the way they do it, I guess. And then I started cheating on my husband. I had Remy over here at that apartment. I had Drambuie down here. I had Cavassier over here. I had Hennessy around the corner. All top shelf. That's how we rolling. I loved alcohol. I didn't go to bars. You weren't pouring me a drink. I wasn't watching my drink. I wasn't watching how much you poured. I drank at home. I wreaked havoc in my household. I had mirrors. I had a karaoke machine. See, because those jobs that I could always get, I started giving them away, wrapping them up. I didn't lose nothing. Nobody loses nothing here. Give it away. We wrap it up real nice. We put a bow on it and we give it away. And that's what I was doing. I didn't know I was an alcoholic. I have a guy in my New York home group. He says my name is Terri, and I am an acknowledged alcoholic because I was the last to know. So I was the last to know. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I was waking up. I couldn't remember what the hell happened. I thought I was getting Alzheimer's or something. What the heck is going on? And how did I end up here? I'm a blackout drinker. I am a freaking blackout drinker to the core. This Christmas, one of my sponsees gave me a t-shirt and it says, retired blackout artist. Yes. I was like, where the hell you get that from? I could go from Baltimore to Queens, New York in a total blackout. And don't know how I got there. God looks out for baby fools and alcoholics like us. If you don't know what a blackout is when the tape stops. It completely stops. See, and this is what God does. Either God is going to eventually, over time, let you remember, or some things, by the grace of God, you're not going to never remember. That's how God works. If you're here and you got a problem with a higher power, I'm going to need you to get over that right now. No human power could relieve us of this thing. This is phenomenal. They were putting people away for this. They were putting us in straitjackets. They were using some kind of shock trauma stuff. And then they came up with this, what? First it was 6 steps. First it was 6. And then they came up with 6 more. A design for living. A way of life. What? Because alcoholism is so isolating, pitiful, absolutely pitiful. Demoralization. What's the other word that goes in there? There's 3 words, 3 beautiful adjectives. What is it, Eric?
Incomprehensible.
Incomprehensible. Pitiful, incomprehensible demoralization. How could it get any worse than that? That's what we are when we're drinking. When we pick up that bottle, all bets are off. And you know, today I don't have to drink my alcohol to taste it. See, we can, I know. Listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, profanity is not a sign of sanity. So y'all gonna hear a couple of words drop here and there. So let me tell you this right now. When I see that bitch coming, that came in before, when I see her coming, I know she's coming. I gotta say, hold up. Wait a minute, we don't roll like that anymore. You don't live here anymore. You don't live here anymore. See, I have a defense against the first one. See, it's the first one. It ain't the second, the third, the fourth. It's the first one that opens the door. It's the first one that turns on the switch. It's the first one that plugs it in. It's the first one that starts the ignition. It's the first one that puts the gas in the tank. It's the first one. And it might not cost you nothing. Alcohol is the great eraser, the magnificent eraser. It erases families, bank accounts, hearts, health, minds, bodies, souls. Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, when I came in here, you know, I knew that I knew that I would learn how not to drink. I didn't know I was going to learn how to put my heart back together, piece by piece, piece by piece. I'm still doing that today, piece by piece. I protect my sobriety at all costs. If you guys hear some yelling, I got my husband and my sons in here. They football, they watching football, so I couldn't even watch football, y'all. My mind couldn't stay focused on Jack. Grown woman, 4 children. I missed both of my younger kids' middle school graduation. You can't get that back. All of my children have seen me drunk. All of my children has picked me up off the floor. All of my children has given me that look of disgust. Oh, God, here she comes again. How do you come back from that? We have this program, you know, we're men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope. We sit here and we tell our darkest secrets. I thought y'all were crazy when I came in here. I mean, I was seeing grown men cry. I was hearing stuff like, who the hell tells that? And I'm sitting there like, oh my God, something is happening, because I wasn't listening to nothing. And when I came into the room, I had to shut up. When I came in here, I brought no oxygen. I couldn't breathe. There was no air. I brought nothing. I had no job. I had no bank account. I had nothing. And when I say I had nothing, so what had happened was The cops used to always come to my house because I drank at home. The cops used to always be at my house. Miss Davis, you can't be here, see, because my husband would have these restraining orders, you know, them things that wants to get your ass out the house. See, because he didn't know what he was coming home to. Is the house going to be there? Is it going to be burnt down? Are the kids going to be alive? Is she going to be alive? Is she going to be passed out? So on September the 23rd, I found myself in this room, and this man was sitting across from me, and it was my husband, not for a DWI, not for anything violent, not for any domestic violence, but he had had it. He wanted me out the house. Get her out. Get her out. And I can talk a good game. And I started talking. And God was saying, this is it for you, baby girl. This is it. God did for me what I couldn't do for myself. That judge ordered me out of my house for a year. I could go home and get a suitcase. So I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any ID. And I'm gonna make this as short as I can. So I left from this, not from this place, but I left and I had this raggedy ass suitcase, and I'm walking down the street and a police officer pulls up and he says, "Miss, are you okay?" And God said, "Tell him what's going on." It was just a young little kid. And I told him. And he said, "Miss, get in the car." And he took me down to Baltimore City to this woman's shelter. To this shelter. Miss Badass New Yorker. I'm in a shelter, scared to death. And God said, "Use the phone." And I called my daughter. How I remembered her phone number, I don't know. Why she answered, even more, this is nothing but the grace of God. Once again, if you got a problem with a higher power, get over it. This is the daughter that left after she graduated college and went to Los Angeles. And I called her up. And she said this. She said, "Ma, are you tired yet?" Oh my God, I was so tired. I was tired of thinking I couldn't turn it off. I was tired. I was physically, my hair was falling out, my hands were peeling. Still, y'all didn't know I was an alcoholic. Nobody ever asked me in all of those jobs I gave away. No, none of those doctors ever said, "Mister, how much do you drink?" How come nobody ever asked me? Not that I was going to tell them the truth, but damn, at least ask me. So I could start thinking, everybody else that was close to me was like, "Why you drink so much? Why you drink so much?" None of your business. None of your business. Still not knowing that I had a disease, still not knowing I was powerless, still not knowing this, that there's a solution. So I call this daughter, right? I call this daughter, and this daughter says to me, "Ma, hold on, I'm gonna call you back. I'm in a shelter." She gonna call me back. Okay, yeah, okay. They were calling my name for a bed. The phone rang, and it was my daughter. And she said, "Ma, go to the airport. Go to the airport." I had no money, no ID, no nothing. I get to the airport. A bus pulls up right in front of the daggone place, y'all. And I got on the bus, tears coming down. And the bus driver looked at me and he was like, "Oh, damn." He gave me this pass so I could ride all day. He told me how to get to the airport. And I got to the airport. And I took this light rail. We have a light rail here in Maryland, and it just goes right into the airport. And everybody on the train was happy and joyous and free, and they had their suitcases. And when the airplane went in, it was the train went in, just shh, boom. Nice and quiet, doors open, ding. Everybody got off. They were going to their respective places, and I'm sitting there. And God said, "Baby girl, get off the train." I got off the train. I got in the airport. And there was a ticket. There was a ticket there. So fast forward. Remember, no ID, no money, no cell phone. I'm gonna do this part real quick to show the alcoholic that I am. There was a TSA agent. I asked him, could I use his phone? He gave me his phone. I called my daughter. I said, I'm here. He took that phone and he looked at me and he said, are you okay? And I said, no. And he took that phone and he put it on the side. And then he went around here and he went in his wallet and he pulled out his wallet and he gave me a $20 bill. And remember, I got that pass where I can ride the bus to train all day long. I got back on said train. I went back to Baltimore City. I took that $20. I got a bottle for now, got a bottle for later. I got a seafood Subway sandwich, a half with hot peppers on it. I went back to the airport. Craziness. But that's what we do. I used to, when I used to tell my story, I used to say, I rested, I went to sleep because the plane didn't leave until 7 a.m. the next morning. But I didn't. I passed the hell out. That's what I did. God tapped me on the shoulder. He said, baby girl, I need you to get up. I got up. I asked another TSA agent, can I use your phone? She let me use her phone. It was my daughter. She was like, Mom, what are you doing? The plane leaves in 20 minutes. I went running. Southwest Airlines. The lady took my ticket and then she said this, ID, please. If you got a problem with a higher power, I need you to get over that. I didn't have no ID. And God said, ask for the supervisor, girl. Ask for the supervisor. Little short man came out looking like Barney Rubble. I remembered I had court papers. I had the court papers, y'all. I had them in my suitcase and I pulled them out and I gave it to him. And he looked at them thoroughly. And he took his glasses and he looked at me. And it was like a soap opera, like everything stopped. Like it was like, da-da. Nobody was saying nothing. There was no people around us. It was just me and him. And he flipped the page and he looked down and he looked up. And he looked at that woman and he said this, let her on the plane. What? And I swear to this day in my heart of heart, he was one of us. I don't know why, because there's no way in hell I should have got on that plane. No way. This is my journey. This is where it began, and I didn't even know it. Guess what? I was going to Vegas, y'all. Vegas. I went to Vegas. So I got off the plane in Vegas. Yeah, they need a lot of GA there because you couldn't even get out the tunnel. Good people were stopping right there. They had slot machines and all of that. And I got there and I'm like, okay, what do I do now? What do I do now? Listen, I can't make this up. They said my name on the intercom. And I sat there holding my suitcase. And I said, nah, that wasn't me. And then I said, girl, you better hope that was you because you don't know anybody. They said my name again. Terri Davis, meet your party at the baggage claim. And I went running through that airport like OJ, because somebody at the other end of this knows me. He's got something I want. I didn't know that he did. And I got there and it was just big, tall guy. And he had on a cap like Rodney is wearing. And it said Desert Hope. He had on his shirt. It said Desert Hope. He opened this Lincoln nice car and he put out his hand firstly. He said, Mrs. Davis, welcome to Desert Hope. I spent 30 days in Desert Hope. I learned I had a disease. I learned about the allergy. I learned about the phenomenon of craving. I learned there is a solution. I learned that there's some people that came in every night at 8 o'clock and I wanted to kick their ass because they were happy and they were laughing and I was miserable and I was angry and I was pissed and I wanted my husband, I wanted him by the neck. And I had no idea that God was doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. So after 30 days, I had this beautiful counselor and she gave me an option that I could go to sober living. Oh, I didn't tell y'all my husband worked for Johns Hopkins. So we had this great insurance, right? So I had a choice to go to Texas, Florida, or Los Angeles, where my daughter was. And I hadn't seen her in about 2.5 years. And I chose Los Angeles. My life has never been the same. I came to in Vegas, but I got sobriety in Los Angeles. I got this beautiful short lady. She looked like she's about 14. She's getting ready to celebrate 36 years. She put my hand in the hand of God. I admitted I was powerless over alcohol and my life was totally unmanageable. I love that part. I came to believe that a power greater than myself, but this is the kicker, could restore me to sanity because I found out that my ass was crazy. And then I made a decision. And I made a decision in Santa Monica on Venice Beach in the rain to turn my will and my life over to the care of God. The program is powerful. So then once I did that, I let God do the rest. What? The fourth step, what? Let me get it. You know what I say about the fourth step? The fourth step is like the worst freaking hangover. The worst hangover you can have, the worst. And then the toilet bowl is your sponsor and you just throw up all over. Just throw up, just let it all out. That's the fourth and fifth step. That's it. Boom, it's done. You feel so much better, so much lighter. Then you can be humble. Because I wasn't being humble for nobody. I wasn't telling nobody else. First of all, I had to look up humble shit. I had to look it up. Humbly ask him to remove my shortcomings. I do that on a daily. Because I got to pull back. Like I said, when I see her coming, no, baby girl, you can't come here no more. You don't live here no more. So when I got to the 8th step, I had a therapist too, y'all. I had a therapist. But I also found this big book study. I found this big book study in LA. It's called Never Too Early Big Book Club. I walked in there. And when I walked in there, it was reality at its highest. They broke down that big book like on layman's terms because I was reading it and I was reading it with someone else. But the way they do it in this big book study, it's like nothing you ever heard in your life. You can imagine it, you could see it, you could feel it, it makes sense. You could even see in your mind what the hell Bill looked like. Yo, Bill was something crazy. And I could sit with him. And Bill thought he was slick, and I thought I was slick too. But he understood once it started to make sense that all he had to do was go talk to another alcoholic. Let's go get this one. Let's go talk to this one. Let's go talk to that one. It's service. Thanks for doing service, E. Thanks for doing service. So by the time I got to the 8th step, I had to leave. I didn't owe anybody any amends in Los Angeles. Hell, I ain't know nobody. I was living careless and free. But I'm going to tell you what I do remember. I do remember the day I figured out that I didn't think about a drink that day. I'm walking down Wilshire Boulevard. You know they sell alcohol everywhere in LA. Somebody was coming out of 7-Eleven and they had a bag. And I was like, oh, shoot. I know what's in that bag, but I didn't think about it. That's when I knew something was happening. And I just dug in and I dug in and I took the suggestions. Because when I got to LA, that suitcase that I took in Vegas, I had nothing in it, y'all. I had a blanket, a boot, and a shoe. Nothing matching. Nothing. I didn't have any underwear. I didn't have a toothbrush. I didn't have a pair of pants. I didn't have any t-shirts. I left LA with boxes. They had to ship me stuff. The women in the meeting, they were giving me socks. They were giving me little gift cards to go to Walmart. I met a man at the Never Too Early. He would pick me up every Sunday. Dr. George Shen. I introduced him to the Dollar Tree, y'all. In LA. We got to the Dollar Tree. He looked at me, Dr. Shen, the dentist. And he asked me, how much is this stuff? It is $1. What are you talking about? Hello, smarty, Mr. PhD, doctor, dentist. And every Sunday he would take me to that dollar store. And he would say, what do you need? And I would get toothpaste and everything. When I say I had nothing, I had nothing. My son sent me my birth certificate. I got an LAID. I had to get my new Social Security card sent out. I didn't have a driver's license. I remember, look, I got an LA driver's license, but I failed a permit. I failed a permit. I had a driver's license for years. So I failed a permit test twice. And the third time I went to the guy to hand it in, and he looked at me and he said, did you read the book? I'm like, no. He said, man, read the book. So I read the book and I got my license. So if you're here, read the book. Read the freaking book, but read it with somebody else. You know, my life has never been the same. I love Alcoholics Anonymous. I love the promises. We're painstaking about this phase of our development. You'll be amazed before you're halfway through. Halfway through. Because you're going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. You will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. You're going to comprehend that word serenity. Serenity. Breathe in, breathe out, and you will find peace. No matter how far down the scale you have gone, you will see how your experience is going to benefit somebody else. The feeling of uselessness and self-pity is going to disappear. You're going to lose interest in selfish things, and you're going to gain interest in your fellows, because self-seeking is going to slip away. Fear of people and of economic insecurity is going to leave. Your whole outlook upon life will change. Then you will intuitively know how to handle situations that you had no idea what to do. God does for us what we cannot do for ourselves. I got sober without my permission. I didn't ask to be here with y'all. And then we ask after the promise of these extravagant promises, and everybody says we think not. No, they're extravagant. Are you serious? When I say you will intuitively know how to handle situations, Alcoholics Anonymous keeps me from slapping the shit out of people on a daily, because I know how to pull back and I know how to keep my mouth shut, and I know to say, I got a program and they don't. So let me go on and roll and go on about my merry way. You know, who would have thought being nice to people, being kind to people, apologizing promptly admitting when you're wrong. I still got a problem with that. My husband told me that about a month ago, well, probably was a month, probably was yesterday, you don't never apologize. I said, I guess I got to work on that one, y'all. Progress, not perfection. So we practice these principles in all our affairs, all of them. We raise our children on them. We become better employees. We get these bank accounts. We show up. We say we're going to do something and our word is bond, and boom. And when we lay our heads down, we don't pass out anymore. We have this beautiful sleep, and then God taps us and said, it's your number, time to get up. And we're like, boom, thanks for putting me on your list this morning. There's nothing like it. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. My parents have gotten their daughter back. My grandmother lived to be 100 years old, and she saw me sober. My children have gotten their mother back. They love me to that. They call me every day. They're so grateful. I'm grateful. I'm not giving this away. I go to meetings to find out what happens when people don't go to meetings. I do a meeting every day. Every day. It's either in my ear, it's either on my phone, or it's on my new Amazon thing that my daughter gave me for Christmas. Thanks for starting this meeting on Zoom. Zoom is a beautiful thing. I get to see all of my people. I am ever so grateful. Shoot for the moon. And if you miss it, don't worry about it. There's a bunch of stars out there you can hit. My name is Terri, and I'm an alcoholic. Thank you so much for letting me share.